Good evening. Happy Tuesday evening, and welcome to Get the Skinny on Beachbody Coaching Weekly Chat. And as usual, we have all the usual suspects. That was for Shelley, the movie buff. I don't even know if she likes that movie, but anyway, it was a great movie. Kevin Spacey. All right. Anyway. So this evening, we have our usual suspects. We have Lisa Driscoll Kent of Fit to Fly Coaching. We have Tom Metal Palace Birkenmeyer of Team Passion. We have Amethyst Smith. I don't know what her coaching business is called yet. And we have vivacious, beautifully coiffed Shelley Craft of Team Nacho. And I am Kelly Driscoll of Limitless Life Coaching.
What happened?
I have no idea, but some of you switched places on the screen. Anywho, tonight we're going to talk about Instagram. We've got some Instagram tips for you, and we're all going to talk about how we performed on Instagram this week, what we've been doing, what's been working, what's not been working. And if we have time, we're going to talk about an exciting new program that we've been chatting about on previous programs that is actually launching tomorrow called the 2B Mindset. Alrighty, that was a mouthful. So before we get to the Instagram tips, who wants to talk about how their week went on Instagram, what they've been trying, what kind of engagement they've been getting, what kind of posts they like to do, and all that good stuff? Shelley?
Well, I've been using the hashtag. Oh, sorry.
No, Tom, go ahead.
I was going to say, I've noticed Tom a lot in my Instagram news.
I sure have too.
Have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, Tom, you better go first.
I wanted to test stuff out, so that for displaypurposes.com, I've been using that, and I never really understood hashtags. Now I get it, so that's cool. And using those, my activity has gone up, but it's mostly likes. I don't get too many comments. Most of the comments I get are from people just advertising stuff right off the bat, so I don't trust those guys. And once in a while, I get a legitimate, engaging comment from somebody. And one thing I'm testing right now is I'll constantly do the same set of 3 hashtags every time. My train of thought is, because it takes, what is it, on average 19 exposures until somebody, like, I don't know, writes you or asks you about what you're doing. So if I'm constantly switching up the hashtags, then it's going to be really hard to get the same people to keep exposing them. So my train of thought is I just use the same hashtag set, and that way the same people keep seeing it probably over and over, and maybe I'll get some people reaching out. Who knows? So far that has not been the case, but it's only been a week, so we'll see.
That comment right there is going to feed into one of my tips. So thanks for bringing that up, Tom.
Sure. And quite honestly, if it turns out to be a bust where it doesn't work, it's like 2 weeks, maybe a month goes by, and people just are not direct messaging me on that strategy. It's kind of frustrating to think, oh man, I spent all that time, but at least I'll find something that maybe didn't work. But we'll see.
Are you putting a call to action to tell them to message you on your posts?
Some of them. I'm varying the captions up. The only thing that's constant is the sets of hashtags.
Right. Because people,
really
need to be told what you expect them
You have
to do.
a tagline. Just like you do when you do the videos, you have a tagline in each of your posting.
Yeah, I did
and
that.
And that is really good.
I did that on a lot of them. I would do follow me at Metal Palace.
I saw that,
Yeah, so you saw that for, and then just short
like,
keyword descriptions, and then the hashtags below that. And then lately I've not been doing that, and I haven't noticed a difference at all. I still get the same number of followers. And so people are not, I don't think people are reading the captions. I think they just scroll up and double tap on the images that look pretty without reading anything. So that's a bit frustrating, but I think that's what's going on. So maybe I'll figure out some way to penetrate it, or maybe I'll come across a training somewhere that shows me how to penetrate that.
Don't be afraid to add words to your pictures too.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like don't overdo it, but
sure.
Because with me, I've been trying to keep up with the consistency of the Insta stories, because that's supposed to be what people check out first when they go on Instagram.
What do they check out first?
The Insta stories, like your little circle when you go onto Instagram, all the little people in the circles.
Is there a way to get that to stay up there so you don't have to keep doing another one every 24 hours?
No.
No,
No.
the only thing you can do is if there's a Instagram story that you really like, you
Mhm.
can add it to your profile page as a highlight.
Right, I saw that.
Those are that was going to be a question.
Yeah.
How you
And
get
you
the
can also save them and then just repost them.
Yeah, I've done that a little bit.
Right.
But I'm
Unless-
still trying to get, like, my followers keep going up. It's slow, but and I'm getting there. But I'm trying to still get to that 10,000 followers so that I can get the swipe up and the whatever else you get when you get to 10,000 followers.
I'm also looking at, I just started today looking at different Instagram automation softwares and paying for a service like that automatically does all this stuff. So, and I don't know if there's any trainings from anybody that we know and trust, because I'm looking at these and I was like, I don't know about this. What if I get flagged for inappropriate behavior and this and that? So they go into like some of the software humanizes it more so that it doesn't raise any red flags with Instagram. And I looked at one that was $35 a month, and then another one that was like a one-time fee of $70 or $80, and then a monthly fee of $5 to keep it going. So I'm thinking about trying one of those too. Save lots of time. Mm-hmm.
How it works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So does anybody know of anybody within our Beachbody circle that uses one of these paid for automation things?
No, but
any of the Beachbody trainings?
no, I haven't heard anybody admit that they use automation.
Why not?
But I would reach out. Honestly, she's very accessible. I would reach out to Jen Richardson and ask her.
Okay.
I really would. She's totally accessible.
I will.
Because she talks about, she talked about when she did her National Wake Up Call, which was freaking awesome, by the way, if I didn't say that the last time.
You did?
She, she friends, or she likes, she follows 100 people a day. 100 people a day.
Manually?
Yes, and well, at least that's what, she didn't say manually, but she said this is what she does. And then she follows that she follows a formula where she has that software that tells her, who has followed her and is still following her back. And then she unfollows the people that doesn't follow her, that aren't following her back.
Like a week later. Right,
but it's so she must use some more automation.
I'm thinking so, because all the ones I'm looking at seem to be along the lines of 100 a day, and about a week later they will unfollow the ones that didn't follow you back.
Right.
And you set it up for certain hours that you're awake, so it's not doing it 24/7 and raising red flags. And all these little parameters that they send for all this stuff, as well as putting out content too.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, she could be paying for something. That's pretty neat. She should tell us.
Yeah, well, she did say, I mean, she's the one that told us to use for display purposes only. And she also mentioned the software that she uses to unfollow the people that haven't followed her back. But I can't remember what the name of it was. But I would, just reach out to her. I'm sure she'll.
Jen Richardson. Richard's son.
Yes.
As opposed to Richard daughter, Richard's son.
Yes, as opposed to that. So Shelley, how's yours? I mean, I know you said your followers have been going up a bit, and what do you attribute that to?
Consistency.
Okay, is it certain? Have you noticed since you've been doing certain types of posts?
Well, every day I do like a shake up post and the energized post. I don't put the names up. I just say superfoods, or you know what I mean. I don't say the names, but I always show that I'm
a Stan fan.
What's that?
I'm a Stan fan.
Oh, thanks.
A fan of Stan.
Yeah,
he shows up on my Instagram all the time.
But what else? My train crashed. Oh, like I do a workout, what I'm eating, and then just like either the pets or like something lifestyle related that's not health and fitness.
Right.
And actually this past week I did a recipe in like several different stories, like each step took up a story. So I showed like the step-by-step of how to make spaghetti squash.
All right,
So.
cool. So, but everything that you just mentioned, those are your Instagram stories, or those your profile posts?
Those are my stories. My profile posts, I've been doing my training heels pictures every day.
Right.
And that generates a lot of followers. A lot I don't want to. But but you know, that's been getting interest, and Lexi and Stan, if my kids will allow me to take their pictures, sometimes they wind up in them.
Right.
But the news feed is more my life, where the stories are more calculated, I guess. Yeah, that makes it sound like it's a bad thing, but it's not. Like, more planned ahead and consistent. Like, okay, I need to do these things every day, and then everything else on top of that's a bonus.
Right. Okay.
Because personally, if I click on somebody's stories and there's like 15 little dots, I'm like, forget it. Like, I'm not sitting here through, you know, like if there's 4 or 5, then that's interesting. But when it gets to be too many of those little dots, then I just X out.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, before we go, it looks like Hannah's coming in. Before we go any further with our feedback about how we're doing with Instagram these days, I'd like to talk a little bit about the stuff that I've learned from the podcast, and actually, as you guys have been talking, it jogged my memory to some other things that he said that I'd like to I think will you know, kind of bring some value to the conversation. Now, now the person that I listened to was Brock Johnson, Shailene Johnson's son, and he talked about the difference between your profile and one of the points he made was difference between your profile and your Instagram stories. On your profile, you know, people are looking for pretty much for perfection. They're looking for beautiful photographs, you know, beautiful composition. They're looking for profiles that, you know, kind of have a consistent look for the most part. But Insta stories are completely different. People are not looking for perfection. They're looking for real life. They're looking for, you know, the nice thing he said is that, you know, you can record your Instagram stories over and over and over until you're comfortable with it, or it's, you know, it looks and sounds how you want it to. But people aren't watching Instagram stories to see perfection. They're watching those for imperfection, for real life, for vulnerability, for, you know, that sort of stuff. So so basically, don't stress over imperfection on your perfection on your Instagram stories. You know, something that's highly produced. That kind of tripped me up a little bit in the beginning, because I was watching a lot of Jatana Jackson, and she's like really pretty highly produced when it comes to her Instagram stories. Not 100% of the time, but a lot of the time. And now I just don't worry about that at all. But you're on your profile, you know, people are kind of looking for, you know, for a little bit more perfection. And I've noticed that in my own feed, because I do a lot of food photographs. I think that's some of my finest work, actually. And people, you know, love that, my food pictures. And they get the highest, you know, I get the highest amount of interactions on those, because those are, you know, I mean, I don't know, they're more classically Instagram, you know, than the pictures of me and my husband, you know, post workout, or, you know, what more of the real life stuff. Just staying with the profile page a little bit. He said, you know, that you should pepper in emojis. Of course, you can't use more than 30 hashtags. But, and you should post throughout the day, but he really recommended that you didn't post more than like 3 times a day on your profile. You know, maybe do one in the morning, do one in the afternoon, do one in the evening. But when it comes to Instagram stories, you know, post up to 15 times a day, but no more than 15 times a day. And the reason for that is, I'm sure you've all noticed when you go to your Instagram stories page, there's those little dashes at the top of the screen. Well, if you go to somebody like Jatana Jackson again, for example, I mean, the little dashes at the top of her screen are so small, you can't even see the spaces in between them. Now, she's got a huge following, and people will watch her all day long. But for those of us just starting out with Instagram, they're not people. When you add up 15 Instagram stories, that's about 4 minutes of content. People generally, because of short attention spans, are not going to watch, you know, someone starting out that they're just getting to know for more than 4 minutes before they move on to something else. You know, he also talked about with Instagram stories, you know, varying the style of your posts. Try not to stay with the same kind of posts all the time. Encourage engagement, which is true of all of the social media we do. And he said, really stay away from, you know, those fancy face filters, the bunny ears, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, it's okay to do that here and there, but not to rely on that a lot. He also said you should limit non-native content, which is, you know, something that we know very well about Facebook. Your posts and your Instagram stories tend to get, according to the algorithm, get more exposure if you actually create them on Instagram. You know, so your photos, take your photos on Instagram, of course your Instagram stories. But the most exciting thing that I learned from listening to him is that you can add up to 10 hashtags on your Instagram stories. And this is something that I didn't know, and I was trying to figure out how I could get more than one hashtag on there, because if you go to the stickers, there's a hashtag sticker. But you can actually, I did this today, I went into for display purposes only. I picked a hashtag. I limited it. I took the little slider down to 10. I put in a hashtag. I got the 10 hashtags, and I pasted those into my Instagram story just using the typing function. Now, when you hit done, of course, they take up your whole screen. So, you know, his trick was you squeeze them, you squish them and squish them and squish them until they're really tiny. And then you change them to the color of your background, some part of your background, and you just slide them. He also said if you're really good at it, you can slide them off the screen so they're not seen. I can't figure out how to do that.
I've done that accidentally a couple times.
Yeah, but he says even if you slide them off the screen, they still stay attached to your Insta story, so that they get distributed to those feeds for those particular hashtags. So I thought that was really exciting. That was like my biggest takeaway. But getting back to what Tom said earlier, he said, do not use the same hashtags over and over and over. You've got to mix them up, because there's something about the Instagram algorithm, he didn't use that word, but there's something about the way that Instagram distributes your posts that if you're continually using the same hashtags, it limits your exposure. You get less and less and less exposure. So you got to shake it up. Shake it up.
Thanks for sharing that with me.
Absolutely. That's something I did not know either, because I was doing that quite a bit. Especially with with my real food hashtag that I like to use a lot. So so I had to start wrapping my brain around that a little bit different way. So hey, I thought that was all really pretty cool, especially the part about being able to put 10 hashtags on your Instagram story.
I think it's interesting that he said not to do the same things in Insta stories because it's 1x3x5 training that taught me to do the same 5 things every day.
No, it's not the post per se. It's the way you display them. Because in Instagram stories you can, there's all those different. There's boomerang posts. There's video posts.
Oh yeah.
Photograph posts. There's the one where you get the colored background and you can just type over it.
Right.
There's all those. He said mix up the style of your posts, not necessarily the content, but the style.
Okay, yeah, because I have fun with the boomerang, when I'm making my breakfast and I'm pouring the egg in and then it comes back out, I do that kind of stuff. But I do need to use some of the other, because I usually do boomerang and the hands-free just because I can not be stuck to the phone. But
I love hands-free. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I love hands-free. So, and I used what was the one? There's one that where it reverses it.
Yeah.
I was making turkey soup in my crock pot and I just sauteed all the veggies and I filmed myself pouring the veggies into the crock pot, of course, splashing all over myself, of course, because I'm doing it like this, with a frying pan. But then it reversed, so it all, looked like all the veggies were coming out and going back into the frying pan.
Cool.
That was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
The next time I think I'll have, like Bill pour the veggies into the crock pot while I film, or vice versa.
People probably love that you splashed it all over yourself because that was real nice.
I guess. Anyway. So what else do we have? What else interesting does anybody have to say about Instagram and how their posts are doing? And then the other thought before I forget is, responding to people that either like or comment on your posts. How's that going?
I'm not that good at that yet. Just being honest.
Yeah, well, that was another tip. That's another thing I didn't write down. But, Brock said that you should respond to people. Even you should chat with people and thank them for liking your posts and asking them, what was it about the post that they liked, even if they heart it, even if they just, say they like it or whatever.
Well, my problem is right now, most of my Instagram followers are fellow coaches. So where it would be nice to make new friends, I really think my time could be utilized in other places than direct messaging other coaches is kind of like, but
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So when I look even on my Insta stories, it's like 2 of the responses are my children. And then it's like 90% coaches, and the hashtag ones, I still haven't figured out how to see who those people are. It'll tell me how many, but I can't see who they are to respond to. So I do try to remember to respond to the people that I don't necessarily know or that I know aren't coaches.
Right.
But most of the time when I look, I'm like, okay, well, there's coach this person and coach that person, and
Right.
So I'm trying to find the hashtags to attract people that aren't also coaches.
Yeah, that was something else he talked about was, researching trending hashtags and trying to use them in your posts. One of the things that annoys people on Instagram is if you use a hashtag and they follow it because it's an interest, and then your post has nothing to do with that hashtag. So you have to look at the trending hashtags and find the ones that will work for your posts or your interests, so that you don't, annoy people.
Keep it congruent.
Yeah, exactly.
Because even with the display purposes only app, like sometimes if you put in something health and fitness related, you'll get hashtags that have to do with competing companies. So always check them. Don't just copy and paste, because you don't want to be attracting people to a competitor.
Yeah, that's incredibly important. Yeah, you should scan through them, because sometimes there's hashtags in there that are completely inappropriate too, and sometimes you get hashtags in other languages, and there's nothing wrong with that per se, but you don't really know what they mean. If there's something in Korean or Japanese or Chinese or or Russian, you really don't know what it's saying. So you want to be careful.
Yeah.
And of course, I take fitness model out of every single one because I'm clearly not a fitness model. So that one goes right out.
What does that even mean, you're a fitness model? Show me where you've modeled other than Instagram.
I know. But it's like that one goes right out. I don't use that.
I'm going to do a post specifically to use that where I'm standing posing with a dumbbell like I'm modeling just so I can have it.
That's a good idea. You find those hot trending posts, and then you make a post around whatever is trending.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's called reverse engineering, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But at the same time, we don't want to confuse. You have to do it in a way that doesn't confuse your Instagram followers.
Right.
Because nothing from nothing. The conventional wisdom is that we shouldn't have more than 5 areas of interest, displayed in our profiles. So,
right. So you get creative.
Right?
Think like an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Now, one of the cool things about Instagram stories is you can see who's liked your Instagram stories.
Right.
Which is kind of nice. Oh, look, Erin's boyfriend liked one of my Instagram stories.
Cool.
Anyway, I'm going to be meeting the parents soon. Anyway, so what else about Instagram stories would anyone like to share? We've got about 5.
I wish that they didn't allow the get 5,000 followers here. Like that stuff is so annoying.
It is annoying. Yes, it is.
It drives me crazy to see somebody that has like 3 pictures and 5,000 people following.
Yeah.
How do they do that?
What is it?
They buy followers.
Yeah, like one of the people that liked my Insta story is the Coo. And he's got a private account that doesn't have any English on it.
Right.
So I'm not going to be writing him back.
No.
But that's what I mean. The majority of the people that I get are like that.
Yeah.
So, but it's a building process. When I first started posting them, I would get 2 or 3 people. Now I get 20 people. It's slowly,
Right.
Trust the process.
And there's some people that you don't know, but they're constantly there. They're constantly liking, they engage, and you get to kind of know them that way. And it's funny because I didn't think that would happen. And the people I have are like all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the travel. So I've got people from Egypt and the Emirates, and I've got people from Norway, and I've got Ireland people following me, and all kinds of stuff. But it's cool. You'll see, you'll get a couple of them in, and then a couple of them go out, and they're the unfollowing, and I only right now I'm not. My next step is going to be to increase my following, because if I increase following people, it'll increase the following I have. But I want to be very specific about it. I want to follow people that I think would be of interest to me or to further engage. And so I want to do it. So I've just been in there, but I went up almost 10 this last week. It'll go like up to 40, down to 37, down to 36, up again. And this just before we went on, I posted one of each. I've got 3 major topics. So I posted a cat, I posted something for travel, and I posted something for food. And I wanted to see if it would work because they all went to different places and see which one people like the most. So I'll be checking that out afterwards. And it popped me up. I thought that way I could say I was almost at 10 because it popped me up the people, but they haven't unfollowed yet.
I'm looking at my personal pictures, and they're not bad. They're not too bad. There's a lot of shoes, though. I need to pepper in some other stuff.
Your shoes are wonderful. I'd like to make a folder just out of your shoes.
Well, thank
They're
you.
amazing.
Did you see my shameless plug to get people to buy me more? Because I've already used all the ones I have.
Yes.
No.
Might as
Send me
well.
two, please.
How are you, Miss Hannah? Sorry, I didn't mean to get you right when you were drinking there. Fantastic.
I hear her.
Very quiet.
Yes, but I don't know why she's so quiet. She signed another coach.
Hey, way to go.
Yay! Congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Rachel.
Coach Rachel by
Hey.
Coach Hannah.
Nice.
That's awesome.
You're a rock star, girl. That's awesome. Well, we got a minute and a half.
Okay, so To Be Mindset, who's buying it?
I think I am. And I wasn't sure I was going to, but now I think I am. More to help because I think there's a humongous amount of people that this could benefit. So I want to be familiar with it so that I can help other people.
Well, we have a challenge group starting on the 14th, so if you want to get some peeps up in there, we can all do it together.
Cool, cool. All right, Tom. Is that a sneeze? Bless
Bless
you.
you.
I thought you
I
fell
don't-
out of your chair for a second, then I realized you sneezed.
I don't know what that must have sounded like over this thing.
Okay, so now make sure you're all in the after party because 5 of us are going to Summit and we need to chat.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, we got to keep the room together.
Yep, yep.
That is going to be so cool.
Yeah, it
I
is.
can't wait. I can't
Yes.
wait.
And 4 of us
We
are
all
going
get to
together.
be friends.
I got my
Now.
plane ticket
Oh, did you?
a couple days ago.
Yay.
I have been to Indianapolis and back twice, I think, during the year, and I keep waving, saying, "I'll see you in June."
Yeah, we're gonna have
Go to Chicago.
What about Chicago?
Hmm?
What about Chicago?
Well, we